Hello, this is Coding Gicha for full-stack developers. At this point, the latest LTS version of Ubuntu is 24.04. GTK4-based applications will be supported starting from Ubuntu 26.04. These applications are not only changed from GTK3 to GTK4, but also have many improvements that will take your development environment to the next level. This time, I will explain how to install and use GTK4-based applications that will be supported in Ubuntu 26.04. GNOME Terminal, I of GNOME, and events will be replaced with Tixis, Loop, and Papers, respectively. Let's quickly check out the GTK3-based applications that are installed by default on Ubuntu 24.04. You can run the terminal emulator by pressing Ctrl-Alt-T, and the application that is run is GNOME Terminal. Let's also run the viewers that can view image files and PDF files by clicking on them in Nautilus. The image viewer is I of GNOME. The viewer information says GNOME Image Viewer instead of the widely used I of GNOME. Let's also double-click a PDF file. Events is run as the PDF viewer. Now we need to install GTK4-based applications that will replace them, but they cannot be installed with snap or apt, and must be installed through Flatpak. I will update the repository information. I will install Flatpak with apt. I will add the FlatHub address of remote. I will install a plugin to enable package installation via Flatpak in GNOME software. Since Ubuntu does not have GNOME software installed, we must also install GNOME software. If you install packages from GNOME software as is, the packages installed via Flatpak may not be immediately reflected. Let's restart Ubuntu and proceed. Let's run GNOME software. Let's install Tixis. Tixis installation will take some time. Let's also install Loop. Finally, let's install Papers. Let's check the installed applications in the Applications menu. Tixis and Papers icons have been newly added. Loop has been added to the Utilities group. Let's start with Tixis. Theme settings have been separated from preferences. The default theme is automatically set according to the system theme, but since the system theme is light, the light theme has been applied to Tixis. I don't know if it's a stereotype, but the terminal is awkward in the light theme, so let's change it to the dark theme. Let's pull the Preferences window aside to set it up while checking the reflection of the settings right away. The palette list does not have the style palette that has been applied to Ubuntu's terminal. Let's show all the palettes. There are quite a lot of palettes, and if you scroll for a while, you will see the Ubuntu palette. The system font has a cell size of 10 pixels by 22 pixels, so the ASCII images appear slightly stretched up and down. I will change the system font to a monospace custom font. In the GTK4-based terminal emulator, the cell size was different depending on the language, considering the line height, base line, etc., but in the current Tixis, the cell size is the same regardless of the language. The font size in the system font was 12 pixels, but it changes to 10 pixels when changed to a custom font. Finally, if you change the line spacing to 1.1, the cell size will be 1 to 2 regardless of the language. The function to restore session can be expanded, but I personally find it cluttered, so I will disable it. The window size is also restored to the last size when opening a new window, and you can set it to run in your preferred size. Tixis has a function that displays the title color according to the status of the task action. To explain this, I will set the window size to 16:9 including the title bar. When you change the size of the window in Tixis, the window size is displayed in the lower right corner, so you can adjust it to a more accurate size. I will rerun Tixis to reflect the changed settings. Let's run NeoFetch and check if the cell size is 1:2 ratio. The Ubuntu logo is displayed exactly as a circle. As mentioned earlier, Tixis is not affected by language, so if you set it the same in languages other than English, the cell size will be set to this ratio. NeoFetch has not been updated since 2020, so the logo is not the new logo from Ubuntu 22.04, but the old logo. Fast fetch or high fetch is more recommended for fetching to check the operating system information. However, in order to check that the ASCII image is displayed properly in the 1:2 cell size ratio, the old logo is more suitable, so I ran NeoFetch. Let's connect to a remote server with SSH. Tixis has a feature that shows the change from the local state of a general account to another state intuitively by changing the color of the title bar. The default title bar color of Ubuntu palette is purple, but when connecting to a remote server, the title bar changes to violet. When SSH is terminated, the title bar changes back to purple. Let's check the list of X-terminal emulators that can be set via update alternatives. Since I ran it with sudo, the title bar color will change to maroon as the status changes to the root account. There is no Tixis in the X-terminal emulator list. As of now, we cannot change it to the default terminal emulator. When update alternatives that I ran with sudo ends, the title bar will return to purple. Since I installed Tixis to replace GNOME terminal, I will modify the GNOME terminal.wrapper file to run Tixis. When you press tab for auto-completion, the title bar will blink when only a part of the text is completed. I will copy the GNOME terminal.wrapper file under a different name just in case. I will edit the GNOME terminal.wrapper file. I will erase all the original syntax. I will change it to the syntax that runs Tixis. Since the Vim editor is also running with sudo, the title bar color will change to maroon to notify you that sudo is being used. Let's quit Tixis. This time, I'll run it with the shortcut Ctrl-Alt-T. Tixis ran fine instead of GNOME terminal. Let's run Nautilus. Let's go into the path a bit more. Nautilus provides the ability to open a terminal directly from that path via the context menu. Unfortunately, the Open in Terminal menu is hard-coded to always run GNOME terminal. Third-party applications such as Tilix add a separate menu in the context menu to solve this problem. However, Tixis does not do this, so you cannot run Tixis through the context menu to that path. When the default terminal is replaced with Tixis in Ubuntu 26.04, it will be automatically resolved. Until it is officially installed, you must click the kebab menu and use it to copy location. You can simply press the alphabet C when the kebab menu is expanded to copy location. Now, let's run Tixis with a shortcut key and by pasting go to the copied path. It is not as cumbersome as you might think, and you can go to the path you are working on in Tixis without any inconvenience. The new image viewer loop is more powerful than the existing Eye of GNOME and is also very helpful during development. When you click on an image file, Loop is launched. Tixis and Papers are not the default launch applications, but Loop is set as the default launch application after installation. In Eye of GNOME, the image properties that were hidden in the menu of the hamburger button have been moved out as a separate menu on the title bar. It has become easier to open the image properties. Of course, I prefer to launch the shortcut key F9, so it is not very expanded, but it provides a more modern and sophisticated UI. The most noticeable change is the addition of editing functions that were not present in Eye of GNOME. The Edit button is also displayed on the title. You can crop it to various sizes, rotate it, flip it left and right, and flip it up and down. Simple editing is possible right away without a professional image editor. From a developer's perspective, an encouraging change in Loop is that it shows the actual image size. Let's run Eye of GNOME and Loop side by side to compare the image sizes. I'm a developer who looks at the monitor for long hours, so I'm working on a Retina high-resolution monitor to reduce eye fatigue. In other words, I'm working more clearly by enlarging the width and height by 2 times, and I'm also developing while considering the user environment that uses high resolution. Accordingly, a 128 by 128 image should be processed as a 256 by 256 image considering the high-resolution environment to look clear. However, Eye of GNOME reflects the fact that 2 pixels correspond to 1 pixel in a high-resolution environment, so it doubles the 256 by 256 image again and shows it as a 512 by 512 image. In other words, an image that was created to be used in a 128 by 128 size appears as a 512 x 512 image when viewed through Eye of GNOME, making it difficult to check the actual applied image. However, Loop shows the image in its actual size, so you can immediately check the image to be used in development at its intended size. Let's also compare PDF viewers. When you double-click a PDF file, the events launches. To open it with Papers, you need to select Open With from the context menu. Let's change Papers to the default app. PDF viewers are not directly related to development. However, it can be helpful to try out new applications to get inspiration for development while checking UI trends, etc. Let's change the sidebar of PDF viewers to thumbnails. To compare the viewers, I'll go to the same page with different colors and images. Papers has changed its UI to be more modern and sophisticated. Above all, you can clearly see the difference in UI quality in night mode. In the events, only the PDF pages were changed to dark style, and the viewer layout was maintained. Also, all the colors were inverted, so the original colors may be distorted. For example, the color of the coffee beans was changed to mint, so the original image was not visible. Links are usually displayed in blue, but events was inverted, making it difficult to intuitively tell that they are links. On the other hand, Papers still intuitively tells that they are links.
Thank you for watching.